do this. This was not like, oh my God, it's a snowstorm. We have it out here. We got to just throw something out there. They meant to do, they advertised the shit that came off in large part here. They meant to do this. Brian, you got to keep that in mind. This was on purpose. Not because of an act of God.
I mean, most of these matches, like you said, were announced in advance. I don't remember if the AR Fox one was,
well, I mean, I'm talking about the main...
Oh, the Moxley Copeland thing? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as offensive things go. Well, the main parts of this program, which wasn't AR Fox and Will Ostrich, but the main parts of this program were intentional. And they open up in the snowstorm in Omaha, and the first thing you see is pockets. Here he goes. So, and then the second thing you see is our new friend, Hong Kong Phooey, Spitball Bailey, the dollar store steamboat. He's so small on his entrance, they had to use a telescopic lens, Brian. It's like he was right next to Alpha Centauri. That's the only way we could see. What the ridiculous fist in the hand pose is he wearing on you already? The smile, the pose, the weird dorkish look, the minute physical appearance, he's like, I hate to say this, but he's like if Kenny was even more unappealing. He does more of Kenny shit, and he's smaller. He's like a little nugget Kenny.
Like I said, I'm looking forward to your future reviews of his matches, the way it's been going the last couple of weeks. But,
Christ on a cracker.
I go back to what I said previously. I wasn't joking. I think Tony should, as a way of branding and just a way to differentiate yourself from WWE, should really go for having a middleweight division and putting a lot of these guys that when you watch them on TV and bring on Mark Davis, who's gigantic, it just, again, I know early UFC, small guys can beat big guys. I get it. And David versus Goliath. There are lots of bookings throughout the years. However, if every guy, Orange Cassidy is just about the same size as Speedball Mike Bailey. And there are plenty of other guys.
I think he's a little taller. He's a little taller. You got to give him that.
But very slight. And there are a lot of people like that. Jack Perry, there's a lot of people in AEW that...
I forgot about him. He's with his buddies in Cucamonga playing video games, getting paid because they took their ball and went home,
He's
right?
hanging out with Anna Jay. She's off TV too. That's one of these Tony Khan vacations until he brings everyone back.
She took his balls and they went home.
Maybe so.
The thing is, okay, you bring us up. You got pockets. You got Hong Kong Phooey. Here comes Mark Davis. His ass weighs as much as all three of these other guys. And then here's Ricochet. So it looks like Mark Davis brought his 3 delinquent children on a field trip. But it's not a middleweight division wouldn't solve it because Conor McGregor, I don't know what he's weighing in at these days, but he's got some heavy burdens. But he's a different kind of 180 pounds or whatever than this fucking grinning simpleton playing, again, a cross between Ricky Steamboat, Bruce Lee, and a video game character. And they have a 4-way where the winner gets a shot at what title Kenny has. He just won a belt. One of the belts.
International.
There you go. And it's a 4-way to get a shot at that against Kenny, where you've got, 3 gymnasts and a fucking behemoth. And they go into the phony choreography, and I figured, let's see what the rest of the program holds for us, because if I treated this like real pro wrestling, it would take me 2 hours to pick it apart, because I would do it like we would do in a wrestling school class. But actually, I wouldn't do that in a real wrestling school class, because I would fire everybody involved in this after the first fucking minute. But again, finally, they do a deal where Ricochet and Spitball both pin Mark Davis. So they made both of them winners, and they made the match with Twinkle Toes for whatever title a 3-way between the 3 biggest goddamn acrobatic swing dancers in the company. So can you imagine the silliness that's going to be on display in that show? But 30 minutes, the first 30 minutes of this program was 3 goofy kids and a job guy. And forget about the weight categories. Just make it, be honest, children's wrestling, by children, for children. Even if we're not chronologically children, we have childlike minds. So mentally, we're still children. And we're the size of children. And the only people that this appeals to is children that are about to enter the sport of gymnastics. Because it's a bunch of choreographed tripe. No wonder wrestling lost all the UFC crossover. I think we've safely avoided any crossover between any of this horse shit and any kind of real fucking fight. 30 minminutes, Brian. What have I missed that the people are just loving about that display of...
There was a spot where Mark Davis picked up Orange Cassidy by the feet and brought him into a pile driver that looked really good. But it wasn't even the best pile driver on the show, actually, now that I think about it. This went a while. I was thinking, how are they going to beat Speedball Mike Bailey if they just brought this guy in and they want to do something with him? But then again, they're going to have him beat these other guys and get a match with Kenny, and they got around that. I'll say, Tony's finishes are getting worse and worse. Obviously, they wanted to set up a 3-way here, but the Moxley matches, one on this show, not just the finishes, but the things happening around the finishes.
Well, I don't think we can blame Tony for Moxley. I think Moxley, this is his art being expressed in real time, sort of like after a fucking enema, after a dinner at Taco Bell, is expressed in real time. But they want to be cute. They all want to be cute if every match has to be cute in some description.
I guess my point is if they're going to sign all these guys, and at a certain point, it may be all they can get because of what WWE is doing to lock down the industry, because of the decline in Japanese wrestling, a whole number of things. If all the guys you're going to be able to sign, or a lot of them, are smaller guys, should AEW do something to take advantage of that? Instead of it just being like, we'll pretend everyone's a heavyweight, should they do something to differentiate themselves?
Okay, I was being a smartass earlier, but I will answer it seriously now. That might even be something they could do, but that's not the answer here, because there is not a lot of money in these people at any fucking weight, because not of what they weigh, but because of their level or lack thereof of charisma, of talent, of ability to get over, of not being repetitious. And Bailey looks like a fucking dork. Guys don't want to be him, and fucking women don't want to fuck him. So he's fucked as a babyface.
I thought you were talking about Bailey in WWE for a second. I was like, what the fuck's he talking about?
No, Spitball here. I'm not bringing her in. No, I bet a bunch of women would like to fuck her.
Anyway,
but nevertheless,
back to, yes.
It's talent, it's charisma, it's personality, it's ability to fucking speak. It's not having this indie mindset of these repetitive video game fucking goofy matches that appeal to the same people that are going to see this. The talent changes in AEW regularly, but all the ratings do is go down because they've already done everything you can fucking do, and now they've just got the replacement people doing some more of it. They don't make stars. They make moments and big bumps off the fucking roof. They don't develop stories and rivalries. They have dream matches. It's just all meaningless. Tony can't pick talent. Inmates run the asylum. So it doesn't matter what size they are. They're all going to have the same problem. They do the same shit as everybody else does because they're all a bunch of indie fucking wrestlers. Outlaw, as the old saying goes. And they can't be told that they don't know every fucking thing. And Tony makes them believe that they're goddamn God's gift to wrestling with the way he treats them. Well, Jesus Christ, the money that he's paying people that don't even show up to work, or that he flies in from other countries for 2 or 3 shows a month, and they don't make any difference. It's the same it's always been, or less. Less crowds in the house shows, less people watching TV, same kind of thing on the pay-per-view, because that's the real litmus test. Those people would rather not pay their rent than buy these pay-per-views. So, yeah.
And I just told you I'm sick of the 3-way matches because they set up the Roman, Punk, and Rollins one and the Rhea,
but now
one, and now here's this.
There's 3 people that can do flips instead of 2 people, so it'll be an even bigger match, and even greater. All right, let's move on, because we got to get to the meat of the matter. They did a nice package putting the Hurt Syndicate over. They're the only real major league talent in the company right now that seems like they're actual serious pro wrestlers and etc. But as soon as they play that package, here comes Mercedes Moon and her little stripper shimmy to kill the vibe of that whole thing. But in this case, Brian, she was the experienced veteran of the piece because she's defending the women's title of whichever description against Billy Starks, the teenage prodigy from Louisville, Kentucky. I've never run into her at the post office. You think she lives down in Shively? Probably never comes out to this part of the county.
I really don't know.
Well, this did nothing to dispel the notion that this is children's wrestling. Because Mercedes, I know she looks like a skinny Honey Boo Boo. Now think about that. Mercedes, I mean, she's not as portly as Honey Boo Boo was, but she's dressed up with the hair and the fucking spangles like she's going to one of those little darling children's pageants.
Are you talking about Mercedes or Billy Starks?
Mercedes. Mercedes is all dressed up in all of the glamour and the spangle and everything, and she's about 110 pounds.
I don't see the Honey Boo Boo connection at all.
Billy Starks, she's a kid. I don't know if she's ready for national TV yet. She has poor posture. She stands with her head drooping over. Is it scoliosis? I don't know. She needs to stand up straight. But the point is, you know, Billy Starks, right now, is she 20 years old or however old she is? She don't have much of a tan. She don't have much of a physique. She's not very old. She's not full grown yet. She might do good on the indies, but do you put her on national TV as a prodigy? And the answer is no, you don't, because she ain't. She's not Nadia Comaneci as a fucking athlete. She's not
Terry Gordy.
She's not Terry Gordy. Because the WWE has Rhea Ripley against Bianca Belair. AEW has Billy Starks against Mercedes. It's just visually, this is just not national television. And they both almost killed each other at one point or another. Oh, Billy dropped Mercedes on her fucking head once.
Did you see that one spot in the way they shot it? You didn't see the exact landing where she kind of just shoved it right under? I thought Mercedes went under her head.
That was the head fall in which I was speaking of. I mean, she tucked her just in the nick of time, but there was not a lot of room for error, let's say. And it probably jarred her a bit anyway because of the impact. But Mercedes won, and we were 50 minutes into this television program from seeing the 4-way nonsense and the exhibition with the teenage participant. And then we got to see a promo with the Outriggers giving a pep talk to the Omaha Mavericks. Did you see that? It wasn't like the fucking footage you see where Ric Flair walks into the fucking room with the NBA team or the college team or whatever, and everybody starts going, woo, and they're all gathered around, and he's the center of attention. These two Nimrods are just running through the locker room, firing everybody up, and the players are looking at him like, what the fuck is going on here? Did you see this part?
I did see this part, and it was timely. The Omaha Mavericks just played the St. John's Red Storm, and the Johnnies destroyed them 83-53. They're done with this. Thank you, Outrunners.
But I mean, because they were in town. Did they say, we're going to get some famous pro wrestlers to come give you guys a pep talk, and then in walk these guys because they're in the building the next day or whatever, and the ball players went, what the fuck?
Well, I'm sure there have to be some wrestling fans amongst them. Usually in every locker room there are wrestling fans, and you have to figure they're wrestling fans. Some may be aware of AEW. So there's a potential chance that they were already fans of the Outrunners and said, how would you guys like to take a trip to Omaha?
That's a lot of thinking and thoughting. No, they were there because they were in the building the next night. They were in town. AEW, all the top talent was busy. And MJF, where the fuck is he? He's on tape again. Is he left the country again? Is he filming another major motion picture? Is he somewhere trying to establish a new identity, free from...
If there's ever a week to get out of coming to TV, it's the week of the snowstorm in Omaha.
Hopefully he's in somewhere where he can sit back and reflect on all of this. He did a promo, running down the competition. It's clear to him that he needs a click to combat Moxley and company. Why is MJF... I know he wants to get this is what this booking, he wants to get the belt back, but the belt is currently in the hands of this fucking shit heel. I mean, he really is a shit, but he's a heel. MJF is supposed to be a heel, so he's going to go to other heels to help him fight the fucking heels. Is it any wonder that nobody gives a fuck for these baby faces? Between Nerdface off Leave It to Beaver, Bailey, and the rest of these goddamn ineffectual twits, all the heels are the interesting ones. So he's going to have an answer for MVP next week, is MJF. And then the 9 o'clock hour came, and Brian, this is what I was talking about earlier in the program. They put the garbage in the middle to try not to leave the people with a bad taste. Or do you think that Dick the Boozer finally got smart and figured nobody's going to watch the end of the show no matter what, and I'll get blamed for it, so we're going to put this in the middle? Which of those hypotheses would you support?
I think this is a match they've actually built up for a few weeks, and they were smart enough to know that if they put that match at the end of the show, it will die no matter what at this point. That's the way you train your audience. So they were going to try to get anything out of this. They had to do it here at the 9 o'clock hour.
Let's put them at the top of the 9 o'clock hour, see if we pick something up from the curious.
Right.
And then Moxley, he's walking through the parking lot for absolutely no reason. It wasn't snowing at that point, but there's snow on the ground. He's coming into the building from out in the parking lot, but there's no vehicle that he has obviously left. What, did he just walk up at that moment? What sense does this make, Brian? He's not coming from anywhere. Somebody just dropped him off? Would he Uber over?
He looked cold.
He's walking through the parking lot. As he gets up to the TV trucks, Edge jumps him in the parking lot.
And they gave that away because as soon as he got up there, all of a sudden for the first time, the camera wasn't in front of him. The camera went behind him, so you could see someone run up.
Yeah, well, because they want to make sure they get all the shots because they're trying to win an Emmy. And he couldn't see, even though he was in a parking lot of snow. And snow, boy, really, it heightens your vision with all that light and reflectivity. So Edge jumps into the parking lot. They fight walk into the back of one of the semis where they have a fake fight with things in the semi. And then they take a bump out of the semi and they fight walk into the building where the cameras are waiting to pick them up because they obviously knew this was going to happen. It looks so bad. It's not only is it more the same shit, but they're not even They're not even trying anymore. They just go from place to place and rattle their toys around. But Edge could have retired after the WWE and still been a big star. But people would have had fond thoughts of him. He's going to get probably another $10 million or so out of this little run, but he's damaged his reputation if he gives a shit about that. But they fight through the hallway into the arena, and there the fans see him, so finally they, oh, here they are finally, mildly react. And they get to ringside, and of course this is an AEW World Title match with Edge against Dick the Boozer, but it's a street fight. No disqualification, anything goes, lazy booking. And again, they're on the floor. And the pace is not blistering, but they're fighting on the floor. And the fans are either staring, or they're trying to take a selfie of themselves with the fight going on in the background, so they send to their friend, yeah, look, I'm here. Or they're kind of giggling. This is supposed to be the world title and two of the biggest main event guys they got. And people are standing there gawking at it. They're waiting for somebody to crash through furniture or get hit by a car or be impaled. And they got the garbage can and was it a kendo stick or a cue stick? It wouldn't make any noise. It looked solid. And it fucking looked like it hurt. I think they couldn't find a kendo stick and they just said that a cue stick was a kendo stick. And then they walked through the arena again so they could go out in the bleachers and in the back part of the arena. Oh, how cutting edge, how revolutionary. We never see anything like that. And Brian, am I overstating? I don't mean to drone on, but am I overstating the case that this looks fucking fake? They don't have to go these places. They're cooperating with each other to walk to these places and then exchange blows, most of which don't look very good. Am I overstating this?
No, I don't think any of this look very good. I don't think any of these kind of matches with Edge have looked good since he returned to wrestling. That one with Randy Orton at WrestleMania was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. And Moxley, on a good night, his stuff looks like shit. So even if you get past the sickening spot later on, the work itself was bad. This was a bad match, in my eyes.
Well, let's get to some more of that because they finally got back to ringside. And Moxley gave the DDT to Edge on the desk, which didn't budge, it didn't collapse. They go to the break. When they came back from the break, they were in the ring for the first time. And there's the plumber beating Edge up with a chair and then puts the chair on Edge's neck and just leans on it for a while. And then he gives the people the finger on camera. And then he puts the chair gently around Edge's neck. And Edge lays there immobile, in no way trying to remove this chair. While Moxley goes to the fucking top rope, and then Edge gets up and throws the chair at him. And then he superplexes him, the big superplex off the top rope, and then they got up and traded fake forearms. It's the same fucking match. And then Edge went into the ring and looked around for a second and came out with what appeared to be a cricket bat with spikes sticking out of the end of it. It wasn't a baseball bat because it was flat. There is no implement like this in the real world. They made it. I assume that maybe it was a cricket bat because there was a flat side that they could technically try to hit each other with. But Edge gets the fucking bat with the spikes and gets in the ring, and Moxley gives him an RKO and he drops it. And so that was smart of Edge. Every babyface wants to get out, get under the ring, introduce a weapon in the match that nobody's ever fucking seen before, and then lose it to the heel, like an idiot. But Mox didn't use it then, because, well, why would you use a bat with spikes in it when you can fucking go outside the ring, pull out a table, and slide it in? That'll win you a fight a lot quicker than a bat with spikes in it. And he took forever to lean it up in the corner, but that gave Edge an opportunity to get the bat with the spikes that, even when Moxley took over, if he didn't want to use it, wouldn't you throw that out of the vicinity of the fight you were having, Brian?
Right away.
Well, no, Edge gets that and hits him with a gut shot. And then hits him with a shot to the back. Now, Moxley didn't bump for either one of them, but also, neither one of those drew any blood. Which, again, my theory that they left a flat side so that you could hit with it. But I'm trying to figure out what the spikes are, because they were too light to be steel spikes, the way they're swinging that thing around. But they didn't look like rubber. Maybe they're plastic, I'm thinking. And just then, Edge grabs Moxley with the bat laid on the ground and gives him a suplex, and Moxley lands back first on the bat, and the spikes stick in his back. Now, we're not talking about steel spikes that impaled him up to a depth of 6 inches. It's like, I guess, stepping on a Lego or whatever the fuck. These things stuck in, and there were enough of them. Whatever, he had a half inch deep. I don't know what the fuck, this fucking idiot. But they stuck in deep enough, and there were enough of them that it was stuck in his skin, and you could see it pulling his skin, and he could stand up with the bat in his back, and it was hanging off of him, and the referee was looking and didn't know what to do, and they fucking... He's walking around with it in his back, and it looks like some kind of goddamn insane clown posse juggalo fucking dinner party or some bullshit.
That's my favorite album there, is Juggalo Dinner Party.
Well, they did have good Horse the Overs. But again, the idiot took a bump on sharp plastic spikes, if that's what indeed it happened. Hold on now, there's more. Suddenly, here comes Wheeler Useless, and he runs in and gives Edge the big knee, and then he's trying to pull the bat out of the back, and he can't. So then, suddenly, again, here's his teammate with a bat stuck in his back. He can't figure out how to get it out, so then suddenly he jumps out of the ring, runs around, and jumps up in Edge's arms so Edge can powerbomb him through a fucking table on the floor at ringside. So you think Moxley must have said, let the referee get it out, go to your spot. And then the referee pulled the bat out.
Have you noticed the fans groan when Wheeler Yuta appears in these? Because it's always a run in to help Moxley near the end. The fans groan when it happens.
Yes, and so do I. And again, here's the thing. Of course, the bat's sticking in his back. People are like, ah, but we'll talk about the psychological implications here momentarily. But the point is, in the middle of this, now they've just completely lost track of what the fuck's going on. Because it's supposed to be a world title match, but now this other guy's come in and knocked out the challenger, and the fucking champion had a goddamn bat sticking out of his back. And then here comes Claudio and Pac out and beat up Edge right in front of the referee, because it's no disqualification. So they get in the ring and they repeatedly double team him. This is what pisses people off. That's what causes the groans, even amongst smart fans. Amongst regular fans, this would have caused a riot back in the day. They would have been so mad at the referee and the promotion. And this is what makes people lose faith in babyfaces. Where are this guy's friends? Oh, wait a minute. They've got to wait until the heels set up a concerto, because that's the spot where then FTR can come out and start to save poor Edge. But in the meantime, they look like idiots because this has been going on, and nobody's doing any goddamn thing. And then, and again, by the way, Brian, you said when the bat was stuck in, dipshit, that you turned away. You didn't want to look at it. That's what you told me earlier, but I didn't.
Yeah, no, when they first started pulling it out, and I saw the skin kind of come up. That's when I was like, I'm going to leave the room for a few minutes.
Yes, it's like pulling a guy out of barbed wire, whatever. The skin is pulling it, whatever. But that I watched closely because I don't give a fuck about this guy. I don't care whether he's hurt himself or not. He did it on purpose and he's an idiot. But I wanted to try to figure out what kind of material they thought they could get by with making spikes out of. And then they've got the concerto going on. But FTR comes out and beats up. And now the bat has mysteriously disappeared, even though that seems like that would win any fight anywhere. But that's disappeared now. But FTR beat up Claudio and Pac, and Dax gave Moxley a pile driver and then left the ring. I'm sure Moxley put that spot in because here's another rule of thumb that they're too stupid to realize. If you have babyfaces come out to save another babyface from a heel numbers attack, in this situation, if FTR gets rid of the people that interfered, that makes it even. But if one of the saving babyfaces does something offensive to the fucking guy in the match, then the babyface he's wrestling has allowed somebody else to help him. And subliminally, that's wrong psychology. So, but Dax had to give Moxley that so that Moxley could get up after a pile driver. And then Edge speared Moxley through the table.
Great looking pile driver, by the way. That was perfect.
Oh, yeah, great looking pile driver. Yeah, and Moxley was on his feet within seconds, standing in front of the table that Edge was supposed to spear him through. And then cover 1, 2, and then Marina Shafir shaves. Marina Shafir. I wonder if Marina Shafir shaves.
She uses Harry's, from what I understand, Jim. Let's talk more about our friend.
Well, no, you're only supposed to use Harry's on your face. Now, I'm wondering if she's using Manscaped. But nevertheless, Shafir shaved, and then here's Marina Shafir beating up Edge in front of the referee. And now the referee is a goddamn grown adult man, and he's not trying to do anything when a woman is beating up the participant. But here comes Willow. Hit Willow, hit Willow, hit Willow. And she saves the day by beating up Marina Shafir. But Pip Sabian comes in. Have you lost track of who's involved in this match yet, Brian?
Not yet.
Pip Sabian comes in, and Edge spears him. But when Edge spears him, Nick Plain rolls in and gives Edge the Cody cutter. And then rolls out, and the referee's, and Moxley covers him 2 count. And then Moxley gets a choke. And the referee stops it. He just choked him out again. At least that would have been some kind of fuck. But he gets him in a stationary hold where they're all immobile. And then the referee just, fuck it, ring the bell. And the fans disappointed booed. It was the surly boo, like, oh God, no boo.
Again, boo.
Again. And the Boar Horsemen leave, flipping more fingers. The faces are in the ring. Dax will not help Edge up. When Edge tries to reach up and get a hand, Edge won't help him up. He walks out of the ring. He blows off Cash. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. You had 7. No, I forgot. You had 10 people interfere. Or was it 9? After a guy was impaled by a fucking spiked bat. And now the baby faces in the same segment are turning on each other, where the heels are trying to fuck some of the heels in the earlier day. It's sad. So sad. It's a sad, sad situation, and it's getting more and more absurd, Brian.
We'll see what happens. The post-match tease and FTR turn. I can't imagine it would turn against each other. I would have to think the entire team would turn. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing? This was a bad match, and I'm sorry. I know Edge has a lot of fans from when they made him a main eventer and the stuff he did.
I used to be one of them.
I have not enjoyed anything with him. His matches are terrible. And Moxley's the worst wrestler on the planet.
Yeah.
We used to get a lot of heat. You think I get heat for things I said about The Rock? When I used to say that about Moxley, people wanted to kill me. And now all those people realize I was right. He's the worst wrestler on the planet, and his instincts to do stupid stuff. You know, for all the complaining you did about the pizza cutter spot during the Domino spot or commercial, to me, I would rather have people see that than if they tuned in and saw that board sticking out of his back as it's being yanked and the skin pulling away. Like, that's too much. That's a step way too far. Watch the staph infection this fucking guy's gonna get for that stupid shit.
No. Staph is gonna get a Moxley infection.
And again, the Death Rider stuff causes the AEW fans to feel unfulfilled. The finishes are always bad. The run-ins are like, you know, everyone loves the Four Horsemen, but they had too many run-ins in 1988, and people expected it. And they stood up and looked at the back. You expect Yuta and Claudio to run in. You look at who could potentially beat Moxley, from Darby to Ospreay, which is probably the most logical one, to whoever else. It doesn't seem like that's on the horizon. We may have to wait till Texas for that. This Moxley run is Hall of Fame awful, and it's one of the worst things I've ever seen as a wrestling fan, in terms of just the worst stable, the worst promos, the worst matches. The fans who go to these events don't like it, and the fans who watch it on TV don't like it.
Well, here's the thing with, in all serious now, not even talking about...
I'm serious.
Well, no, in all serious now, what I'm about to say, not even talking about whether it's a good match or not. It's not a debate now. It's not up for, well, there's points to be made on both sides. Moxley has mental issues of some description. I'm not saying that he's fallen off the wagon, he needs to go back to rehab. I don't think this is a substance issue. I think this is a mental problem. Whether it's concussions, however many times he's been hit, whatever the fuck, did he used to act like this? I've never met the fucking guy. But we can all agree he's got problems. And I think they ought to have somebody looking at his fucking problems. From his own mouth.
I think we all agree he has problems.
Yes. I mean, what the fuck? Normal people don't look like this, don't act like this, don't do these things, and normal people don't like to watch people do these things. That's why it's a subset of modern society that gets into this type of fucking falderall. And Moxley idolizes.
That's right.
He idolizes Nick Gage. He said that on TV. I'm not putting words in his mouth. Oh, he's the greatest fucking, yeah. A mentally impaired criminal who was before and may or may not still be on drugs that nobody rational would want to associate with is this guy's fucking hero. And he has these fantasies that he is allowed and indulged to by the billionaire boy child to go on national TV and masturbate himself to these fantasies that he's Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees or a circus sideshow tough guy. And what he does is he makes people think, like, if you put one of these juggalo conventions on goddamn network television, people would laugh and they'd say, look at these fucking low-class, brain-damaged trash.
Although that album, Juggalo Dinner Party, is a real sleeper hit.
Well, they did try to do chamber music, but it's not just about running viewers off. It's not just about, it's going to run their TV network off one of these days because, let me get this straight, TBS executives would not let Jay Briscoe be on their network because of tweets that he had made, not even on a wrestling program but in his personal life. But this living, breathing septic tank, sewer dweller, can cuss and flip people birds and slice himself with razor blades and try to pour bleach down people's throats on their television network, and that's okay. What is going on here? Somebody needs to send this guy somewhere where professionals can examine or treat him, not put him on national television and indulge him. He makes everybody that watches him think that people in wrestling are the equivalent of the geek, the sideshow geek. The old pencil neck geek line from Freddie Blassie, the geek in the carnival sideshows, was the lowest form of human life. He was the guy that would bite the head off a live chicken if you bought 10 cents to see it. And that is what John Moxley is. Well, he's making people in the business look like him, which is bad. So I wish he would go bite the head off another chicken somewhere else. Because that's why I say this is another chance for the WWE to, it doesn't make them look bad because you'll never see something like that on their television. They can say, no, that's these other people. That's these, fucking outlaw people. That's this low-class fucking bullshit company. You don't want them, you want us. And they get the big money from sponsorships, and they get the big money from deals, and they can differentiate themselves from that. But what the fuck? There's even all of their audience they have already in AEW didn't like this. So how do they think they're going to get a new audience with something like this? They don't. It's just what Moxley, Dick the Boozer, thinks is cool and badass and dope. Is it dope, Brian?
No, it's dope Moxley.
Well, there you go. Yeah, what Dope Moxley thinks is dope is what they're doing.
It's what's in the briefcase. Not dope.
And it's obviously not a belt because that's another thing. The briefcase is way too light. But they have now impaled somebody on, well, he impaled himself on television. But they think that's where their minds are at. This is an indie, niche product, indie-rific, fringe mindset that they all have where they're all playing these parts that people just can't see in most all of them. And they don't want to see this bullshit. This was as distasteful as the time I was talking about when that Judas Messias on TNA made his debut and sliced Abyss up with fucking broken glass. Abyss bladed both of his arms like a foot long apiece. And I'm just, how are we still on the fucking air? Thank God nobody at Spike TV paid any close attention. The Spike representative came down, sat in a production meeting, and then went and played golf. And then came back and saw part of the show and then left early. Otherwise, I think we'd got cut off that night.
No, they only started paying attention when they heard that Russo was sending around emails about the product again.
Yeah, well, that was years later. They say, he's back. Oh, fuck no. We'll let somebody be sliced up with broken glass, but not that. But that's, I mean, again, until Tony takes a stand and until somebody just refuses to work with Moxley and indulge in this type of garbage, they're going to keep doing it, but they won't because they think it's good. Got news for you, buckos. Normal people don't want to see shit like that. And somebody's going to say, well, Cornette likes blood and wrestling and violence and wrestling. And if a trained professional who knew what he was doing and was over in the midst of having a great fight with another trained professional who was over and knew what he was doing, took a chair and swing and hit the other guy over the head with it, and that guy bled buckets and they carried him out on a fucking stretcher in an ambulance, I would applaud that because that is believable violence done and executed in a working fashion. The reason I don't applaud this is because this was in the middle of an obviously fake fight where everything looked like shit. And then the guy took his own bump onto a stupid, goofy fucking weapon that doesn't really exist. And the people sitting there knew that they're working together and he still impaled himself. That means to me that I think that John Moxley is a stupid motherfucker. As I'm sitting there going, well, they're working together. He did that to himself on purpose. You're a fucking idiot, John. That's the difference. It's gross. And not a dollar was drawn. One is a fucking angle to shock people into, oh my God, I bet that guy wants to get even when he gets out of the hospital. And the other one is, yeah, that guy's a fucking goof. That's it.
I like the fact that he's out there bleeding from multiple holes in his back, dressed like a bum. Then you go to the back and there's his wife dressed like she just came out of Bloomingdale's. The fuck's going on there?
What do you think that she would have to say to him? What are you doing?
You know what? Honestly, if it was me doing something like this, I would get a speech from Suzanne about the kids and me being there for the kids and them seeing things I do, whatever it was. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. That'd be the approach I'd
How about don't be stupid in front of our children? They think that their father is a moron and the kids at school make fun of them?
So drop it.
Oh, well.
Well, that was the worst segment of the week and one of the worst matches I've seen in forever.
But now you know what it's safe to do, don't you, Brian?
Well, no, what is safe to do now? No.
Now we can eat. You didn't want to eat before you watched that match. You would have lost your dinner. But now we can eat a fine meal now that we know that Moxley's out of the way. Nothing more can hurt us. Sincerity, when you can fake that, you're on easy street. They've got factor keto meals. They've got factor shit that can't be beat by eating smart with our friends. Folks, you can heat them and eat them, but don't eat them and heat them. I made that mistake. I read it wrong the first time. I ate them and then I jumped in the oven.
Okay, let's not, again, ladies and gentlemen, silly talk means silly moments, but let's get to serious food and factor.
No matter what type of oven you use, electric, gas, microwave, you can heat these things. As a matter of fact, you can put them over and over.
Many different plans, 4 different plans. Delicious meals.
You have a plan to get out of this?
Delicious meals and options for everyone. We eat them here. You should eat them there. Factor, friends of the show. One more time, Jim, what's that promo code?
Eat them here, eat them there, everywhere. Factormeals.com/factorpodcast. Use the code factorpodcast, 50% off your first box. Plus free shipping. Well, Brian, for good or bad, that was most of the television program. We will finish it out here briefly. Renee, Moxley Good, was in the back, just like, her husband had not just been impaled, talking to another one of the Lucha guys. Was this Bandito? You made my mother cry.
This was Bandito, yes.
Yeah, well, Bandito's mother was crying. Boy, you should have seen her reaction when his brother was born. She positively sobbed. And then we had A.R. Fox and Will Ospreay, and maybe that was because somebody didn't show up. But they're in Omaha in a blizzard, right? And they've got travel issues. How does a guy show up that we haven't seen in a year in good weather? How the fuck did he get there?
He's a true pro. He's always ready for action. Always has gear.
He just said, I'll just stay in Omaha and wait till they need me sometime. And Will won with the elbow. He hit him with his armpit, at least this time. He didn't go straight over his head. God, of all the things that guy does that looks so much better than the elbow is the thing he goes to.
Do you think Ospreay's going to be the guy to take the belt off Moxley? Based on what we know about how Tony treats people that he likes and based on what he would want, and who do you think it'll be?
That's the thing. It would have been good if Will could have won it in, the big stadium in England, since the stadium show this year is in Texas. I'd say maybe they have a cowboy win it, but the only cowboy they got is Adam Page, and he drives a fucking Tesla, and he's from Virginia, and the people in Texas would laugh at him.
And he lost all charisma that he actually had when he cut his hair.
He's coloring it. Or was he coloring it before, and now he's not coloring it? He needs to go back to whatever he was doing.
Well, we'll have more next week about simpler hair color, a friend of ours here on the show.
Yes, maybe they could help him out one way or the other, get him restored back. But nevertheless, the main event on this fine program, Megan Brain versus Chris Statlander. And I think they meant to do this too, but Moxley didn't want to go on last and have nobody see him, so they put the girls on last, and they put Tony Storm on color to try to keep an audience. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. But seriously, they put these girls in a one-on-one girls match when they've just had gang warfare with 10 people run in and a guy impaled 20 minutes previously. Is that building a show to an explosive climax, Brian, or is this more like a premature ejaculation?
Well, it also depends how you see it. Do you think that Moxley-Copeland match, when it ended, did it drive anyone off? And then beyond that, the normal drop-off at the end of the show, and then beyond that, the women's segments always do in AEW typically, worse than the male segments, especially at the end of the show. So yeah, they didn't have a lot of hope here, but I thought it was an alright match. I liked it.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I saw that this was going on, and I thought, well, maybe somebody's going to come out and be beheaded at the end of the program. So I was fast-forwarding, and I got to the end of the show, and apparently the girls overran. So I followed the protocol and recorded Modern Family, and went to the overrun and fast-forwarded, and nobody came out and got beheaded. They just had the girls match, and that was it.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Megan Bay needs Penelope Ford. It doesn't really seem like a good fit. And
it would be like a screen door need a submarine, or vice versa.
You know who'd be perfect? I don't know how the matches would go. Let me just say that. But in terms of just presence, you know who'd be perfect to come back and confront Megan Bay? Camille.
But then again, as you said, how would the matches go? Because the one advantage Camille has in working with a lot of these greenhorns is that she's big enough to move them around even if they don't know where to go. But boy, old Megan Brain, if she don't know where to go, she'd be hard to put there. Just food for thought. Brain food.
Well, I don't know why you call her Megan Brain. Megan Bain.
Oh, is that her name?
And Chris Statlander, who you've always said nice things about, so no reason to shit on everything.
They just bring her in now just for somebody to beat her, so I've kind of lost the hope that anything will happen. But I have a pad and a pen of paper here, Brian. A pad and a pen of paper.
Well, good for you.
A pen and a pad of paper. Well, hey, I got some shit to write with over here. And I need for you to dictate to me what the ratings were on this fine episode of Dynamite featuring Vlad the Impaler and his Transylvania quartet. What were the ratings? What were the quarters? What did they like? What did they not like? Are they still stuck where they've been?
AEW Dynamite on TBS, Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, 8 to 10:08 p.m. On average, watched by 658,000 viewers.
Hey!
That is the highest key demo number since November 20th, and the highest overall number since January 15th.
I was about to say that they got, 30,000 or so better than last week. Because they have been stuck in the pocket. They went from the high fives through the, 620s or something, and they were in there for, last 5 or 6 weeks, right, at least. And now they've broken out of that, and they got a whole 650. Remember when their rotten rated quarters at the end of the show a while back were 658,000? Now that's their overall average. Where did they start this fine week?
Let's go to the quarterly breakdown. These were compiled by WrestleNomics. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. Orange Cassidy versus Ricochet versus Mark Davis versus Speedball Mike Bailey with picture-in-picture. 765,000 viewers.
Okay, well, I don't think that's going to last long.
Well, we go to quarter 2. I guess that's all you have to say. The continuation of the aforementioned match, the post-match, and an ad break. 666,000 viewers.
99! They missed it by that much of losing 100,000 people. And, I had somebody on Twitter the other day say, well, the Big Bang Theory isn't giving them the lead-in like it used to because they've cycled through all the however many seasons of Big Bang, and now it's reruns of reruns. So it still seems to me the same thing, just fewer people involved in that. When they were starting with 900 and something thousand off the Big Bang, they would lose 100,000, they'd be down to 800 and something. That's still better than 600 and something, but they always, no matter what's going on since the start of this program, they lose, with very few exceptions, 100, 150,000 people are their big lead-in, and then it settles down and then droops at the end. Is this where we're going?
We shall find out. We got a quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. Mercedes Moné versus Billy Starks with picture-in-picture. 675,000 viewers.
Ooh, they actually picked up 9 more thousand.
And in the key demo, other than quarter 1, which is slightly inflated from the show that airs for a minute into the show, which was 293, the high point in the key demo at 274,000.
And that also, well, that's kind of pretty much normal fluctuation, but they've stopped the bleeding that they don't continue to drop when normally they drop on a girls' match. But they still got the world title main event coming up. Let's see what happens there.
Well, we first go to quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The continuation of Moné versus Starks, the Outrunners video, an ad break, the MJF video promo, and the start of Jon Moxley versus Cope. 647,000 viewers.
Ouch. That they get a rough patch there. That's 28,000 to the negative. So they're starting the top of the hour with 647,000. It's a world title. It's the top of the hour. It's stars such as they have. They've got to pick something up here, don't they?
We go to quarter 5, the big 9 o'clock hour. The continuation of Cope versus Dope with picture-in-picture ads. 678,000 viewers.
Okay, they picked up 31,000. I guess beggars can't be choosers, except for the opening quarter. That's the highest rated 15 minutes so far. Well, and they've been in the pocket. 666, 675, 647, 678. But now how do we feel after the vampire had the stake driven through his heart?
There's more vampire. We go now to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. The continuation of Moxley versus Copeland. The post-match with the Death Riders, FTR, and Willow Nightingale. An ad break. The Bandito Johnny TV backstage angle. 704,000 viewers.
Whoa, they went back up another 26,000. Do you think 26,000 people got on the phone to somebody and said, hey, this fucking idiot's got a bat stuck in his back?
I think that match went through 3 quarters, and if there's anything that gets credit for it, it has to be that match.
But is it credit for, wow, we're really interested in this product, or is it credit for, wow, this fucking horrible car wreck took place? Take a look at it.
That's the point. It gets credit for the number. It doesn't get credit for whatever the after results are. But we go now to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. AR Fox versus Will Ospreay with picture-in-picture ads, and the Adam Page backstage promo. 597,000 viewers.
Oh, yeah, okay. So 107,000 now said, well, there's nothing more to see here.
We go now to quarter 8. I remind you, we have an 8-minute overrun.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that one.
An ad break. Stop it now. An ad break. The Megan Bain versus Chris Statlander match. And picture-in-picture ads. 594,000 viewers.
Oh, not as bad as I thought.
8-minute overrun. including the post-match with Tony Storm, 537,000 viewers.
That's as bad as I thought. So they went, not a bad week for them over. They went from 765,000 to 537,000 in 2 hours. That's only 228,000 people. That's not as bad as normal.
I think it's a big positive it's a positive for them because the stuff I don't like that they shoved down everyone's throat. This is the 1 week where people actually tuned in to see this thing. Whether it was the build, whether it was the social media reaction as it was happening, to the sickening fucking freak show that it was. Who knows? We'll see who comes back next week. But those were the numbers. AEW Dynamite, March 19th.
Next week, they'll say the Geek is back, and he's got a bigger chicken to bite this week. Well, you know, Brian, I think some of these people need a new line of work. Some of these people just need to get out of the wrestling business. But fortunately, there's a place where they can go where they can actually make money, especially if they stay in their own homes and avoid sharp implements. And that's with our friends at Shopify. Because we now have put our literal money where our mouth is. Shopify is helping us deliver these fine program t-shirts that we talked about earlier in the show to the fine folks out there in the cult of Cornette, whether it be the drive-thru shirt or the corny shirt or any of the drive-thru shirts or the corny shirt or more to come. Shopify is involved because you know what you hear, Brian, when you talk about Shopify? Boy, howdy. That's the sound you're going to hear of money pouring into your cash register. If you don't have a cash register, Shopify will sell you one. And then they'll take the money out of your account, but it'll be well worth it. Because, folks, Shopify is the #1 checkout on the planet. They are the platform that sells wherever your customers are. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And you tired of your carts going abandoned? Especially if you leave one of your small children in it? No more. Shopify has a guy that goes around all the stores and rounds up all the carts and brings back the missing children. So your carts will not go abandoned, but your sales will go through the roof. And you can upgrade your business and get the same checkout.
Oh, the shame.
The shame of it all. The shame checkout that all the big boys use, and you don't have to pay big boy prices. Why, you can find loose change in the couch to sign up for the $1 a month trial period right now that Shopify is offering you at shopify.com/JCE. That's all lowercase, by the way. Shopify.com/JCE. Go to the website. See what they can do for you. Take advantage of the $1 a month trial period. If you can't make $1 in a month, that's 30 cents a day, for God's sake. I would think that you'd be ashamed of yourself and you'd rethink your position in the business community. Right now,
It's 30
go
cents
to
a day.
Shopify.
What'd you say?
30 cents a day. $1, no, 3 cents a day. See, I put see, that's why we got Shopify.
Shopify makes it so that you don't have to worry about the math, ladies and
You
gentlemen.
don't have to do math. See, I put the decimal point in the wrong place. It's 3 cents a day. Well, that's even better. Well, goddamn, I feel sorry for you if your surly ass doesn't have 3 cents a day to spend on making money, establishing a business empire. Hearing that sound all over the place.
The best 3 cents you've ever spent.
That's right. I'll put my 2 cents in on that. But go to shopify.com/JCE. Have a goddamn dollar ready and standing by because we're not going to fuck around at these prices. If you can't afford 3 cents a day, move on down the line and let somebody else have a chance.